determined not to desert his command, ordered one of his soldiers to kill him. All resistance on the hill now collapsed, and a final thunderous charge by the Parthian cataphracts at last destroyed this isolated unit.
Damn, bro.
Back at the main fort,
brutal, man. Oh my gosh.
He could either retreat and leave his son to certain death, or advance, risk his whole army, and hope to save him.
How the hell? What do you do in this situation? How are the Romans gonna do? I don't think the Romans can do anything. I want to see how this is gonna end. All right, back at it again, guys. I'm on the streak, making sure that these videos keep uploading on time.
Rome's
so
wars against the empires of ancient Persia
make sure you like
almost immediately after the two civilizations came into direct contact, and would continue for half a millennium after.
Yo, I gotta do Ottoman Persia War. I gotta do Ottoman. Someone told me to react to that. I was supposed to do that.
In the aftermath of the Diadochi Wars, Seleucus's new empire reigned over the vast Asian territories of the former Achaemenid Empire. Among those were the regions of Bactria and Parthia, which quickly sought to assert their own autonomy and revolted in 247 BC.
Interesting. So after this is like what, 100 years after Alexander. Wow, it only took 100 years for Persia to come back. Come back thick. Wait, the Seleucid Empire was Persia, right? Right? I'm pretty sure it was. If it is, and didn't take that long for Persia to come back.
During this time, Parthia was receiving wave after wave of nomadic migration from Central Asia. So in the same year, one of these tribal leaders, Arsaces of the Pani tribe, managed to depose the rebellious governor, Andragoras, and occupied the region for himself. This marked the beginning of the Arsacid dynasty in Parthia. After achieving a tentative peace with the newly independent Bactrian kings, and weathering a series of attempted reconquests by Seleucus II and Antiochus III, the Parthians began to gradually increase their territory at the expense of the waning Seleucids. This process accelerated during the reign of Mithridates I. Ruling from 171 to 132 BC, Mithridates oversaw the transformation of the Parthian state into a mighty empire. He embarked on a series of conquests, first seizing parts of Bactria upon the death of Diodotus II during the 150s.
Dude, you know what is insane to me? Is how we have Armenia. Dude, I gotta like check some Armenian history for real, for real. We got Armenians over here all the way up in before Jesus was born. We got Armenians freaking over here. Like, Armenians have just been there for such a long time, and now they're slowly being pushed out and squeezed out by the Turks. It's honestly quite sad. Quite sad. Bro, how much you want to bet, right? If Turkey manage, the only reason why Armenia exists today is because Russia is basically protecting it. But how much you want to bet if Turkey got the chance and Azerbaijan got the chance to get rid of Armenia completely? How much you want to bet they would say that they're indigenous to the Armenian land? Oh crap, I just gave myself hiccups there from laughing.
Media, Atropatene, and parts of Mesopotamia soon followed. Most critical was the annexation of Seleucia and Babylon, where the Parthian ruler was first crowned King of Kings, symbolically inheriting the ancient Achaemenid title. Upon Mithridates' death, a number of crises began at once. Nomadic invasions from the east, internal strife, and a resurgent Seleucid rump state. However, Mithridates...
Wait, what the hell? So we have two successors. Wait, hold on. So what is the Seleucid Empire? I need someone to explain this to me. Because if the Seleucid Empire is an Iranian state, then that means there's two successors to the Achaemenid Empire. What the hell? This is weird.
The second
This is
ascended
weird.
to the throne in 124 BC and managed to stabilize the rising empire. Whilst reconquering lost territories, this king also established
they're still
firm
alive.
trading relations with the Han Chinese and gained suzerainty over the kingdom of Armenia. By his death in 87 BC, Mesopotamia was firmly under Parthian control, with a new capital city known as Ctesiphon.
Oh!
This good
So it was them who created Ctesiphon.
fortune did not last long, and when Mithridates perished, a period of civil strife began. Seeing his western and eastern rivals weakened like this, the king of Armenia, Tigranes, broke his vassalage with Parthia and invaded both the Parthian realm and the Seleucid remnant.
Holy hell.
Northern Mesopotamia
Oh, so this is where the Armenian Golden Age would begin. I've heard about the Armenian Golden Age. I just never knew much details about it.
fell to the Armenians, and the once great Seleucid Empire was finally extinguished forever.
What the hell? We got Armenians... Armenians freaking dismantling empires. Oh, dude, that's cursed to think about. And this is canon too.
When Roman armies ended this threat at the Battle of Tigranocotta,
Oh my goodness.
their success led to Roman and Parthian borders meeting.
Look
for
at,
the first
dude, we had a thick Armenia in our timeline. That was actually canon. Yo, we need to make Armenia great again. We need to make Armenia great again. Holy.
time. Parthian king Sinathrukes declined the attempts of Mithridates of Pontus to form an anti-Roman alliance. This policy of non-intervention continued during the reign of his son, Phraates III, who also refused Roman requests to support their campaigns against Pontus. Nevertheless, informal arrangements between Rome and Parthia led to the drawing of a border between the two sides at the Euphrates River. With the Pontic kingdom and its Armenian allies subjugated, it was clear that the Roman-Parthian interactions would inevitably lead to border conflicts. With the context for future antagonism between the two empires established, we must now turn to Rome. After the horrors of Sulla's civil wars, Roman politics were dominated in the 50s by three statesmen, Pompey, Crassus and Caesar. 59 BC saw the
Dude, I still can't get over how Pompey died. I reacted to that. If you haven't, go check out my Roman Empire Civil War reaction. After this video, of course. Dude, the way how Pompey died, dude. Such a spit in the face.
triumvirate succeed in backing Caesar's bid for the consulship. He managed to dominate his co-consul during the year and accomplished what his partners needed of him, receiving a command in Gaul as a proconsul. 3 years later, prompted by Caesar, the three men met at Lucca in order to organize what would become the first triumvirate. They had a bill passed through the Senate, essentially partitioning the Roman state between them. Caesar was given a 5-year extension to his command in Gaul in order to complete the conquest, while Pompey received 2 Spanish provinces, which he was permitted to govern in absentia. Finally, and most importantly for us, Crassus was granted the province of Syria and legal authority to raise 7 legions. In addition, he also had the power to make war and peace without consulting the Roman Senate, a fact which would set the stage for the war to come. Ever since the borders of Rome and Parthia met, tensions between the two had predictably skyrocketed, but both states knew that ultimately Rome was nominally more powerful. With this in mind, it is crucial that we detail events within Parthia which led up to the clash. In 57 BC, the weak Parthian king Phraates III was murdered by 2 of his sons, igniting a period.
What the heck? Bro. Oh my gosh. I literally reacted to someone who killed their own father yesterday. I'm not even... I'm numb to this at this. I'm so numb to this at this point.
Of unrest.
I am. I'm like, wow, okay.
The elder of the two, yet another Mithridates, quickly took the throne as Mithridates III. This was not to last long, as he was even more swiftly dethroned by a group of nobles led by the aristocratic Serena clan, who subsequently installed the younger brother Orodes on the throne. Instead of being executed, Mithridates was relegated to being governor of Media. This proved to be an unwise move, however, because he soon contacted the Romans to gain assistance in restoring him to the throne. He fled west into the arms of his would-be benefactors, but was then sent back into the Parthian capital to undermine the monarchy's stability. Another Parthian civil war had begun, and Rome hungrily eyed the rich eastern territories, looking to absorb them like it had so many others. This fractious situation is the state in which Crassus found the Roman East when he received the Syrian command, and the way was clear for him to gain Alexander-like military glory by subduing the apparently weak enemy. Small-scale Roman military activity in the region prior to Crassus's arrival in Antioch had alerted the Parthians to what was soon to come, and they set about preparing for it accordingly. So
this is basically the start of Roman-Persia wars. Okay.
Mobilization of their armed forces was undertaken as they waited for Rome to make the first move. When they did, the Parthian forces would shift and counter it. By mid-54 BC, everything was prepared and the legions were ready. The key question Crassus now had to answer was what route his army would take on their march. He could either invade from Syria and into western Mesopotamia directly, or take an indirect path through the Armenian mountains and move into Parthia from the north. Crassus chose the first route, probably due to it being the most direct and easier to traverse than the alternative. The Romans then crossed the Euphrates, marking the start of the First Romano-Parthian War. Soon after the war began, Crassus met the local satrap Silices in battle, decisively defeating his vastly outnumbered forces near Icne. With his troops scattered, Silices fled wounded to the court in order to inform King Orodes. With the region's local forces trampled beneath the legionary boot, Crassus garrisoned the region's key towns such as Icne, Nicophorium and Carrhae. Almost all of the Greek cities went over to the Romans voluntarily, with one exception. The city of Xenodotium invited a Roman force into the city, but then had them massacred. Naturally.
Bro. Oh no. Oh, that's I see how this is gonna end for them.
This brought the Republic's wrath down upon the city, and it was soon viciously sacked.
Yep.
With his gains secured, Crassus withdrew his army back to Syria.
What the hell were they thinking? Like, bro, whoever thought of that idea is dumb.
For the winter, the campaign of 54 having been a total success. Having raised two armies, the Parthians also campaigned during 54. Orodes II possessed the bulk of Parthia's armies in Media, while his leading noblemen raised a second force from their own estates. The plan was for Orodes to knock Armenia out of the war, while the aristocratic forces would play a sacrificial role in buying the king time. The commander of the secondary army is known to us as Cyrenius, a name which refers to that of his noble family rather than his given name, which we do not know.
How do you not know his name?
The foremost Parthian of his time, having no equal in stature, talent, and personal beauty. The Cyrenaic clan also supposedly possessed.
Here's the thing about beauty, right? I do believe that there is conventional, like, objective attractiveness. Like, there's conventional, objective, attractive traits where everyone would agree, like, this is attractive, right? Like, not everyone would be attracted to it, but most people would be attracted to it. And stay with me. I'm not going off topic or anything like that. I'm saying this because, however, if you gaslight people enough, you can kind of change beauty standards. And throughout history, beauty standards have fluctuated a lot. A lot, actually. It's weird. There are some horrendous things that were deemed as attractive. Like, I know in China there was just like one weird thing where they like literally, I didn't know what the hell they did with their feet, but they did something, like the women did something with their feet, and their feet look horrible, and apparently it was like deemed attractive. And I was like watching a freaking documentary on that a long time ago, and this old lady was, oh my gosh, my freaking life is ruined now. Somebody cares about this anymore. It didn't really matter, you know, like it was just I you know, really and truly it didn't really matter, right? But again, you know, she was gaslit, like, oh, this is what is beautiful, you need to put your freaking feet like that. And you know, took her most of her life for her to realize that, yo, this did not matter at all. So I don't know, you could say, oh, he was objectively handsome, like this guy that he's talking about. But it's like, is he really? Like, is he really, or was that just the beauty standards of this historical time period, right? Like right now, the beauty standards today are incredibly more Eurocentric, mostly because of European imperialism across the globe. So people are more like gaslit to be inclined to be attracted to more Eurocentric features. But I personally believe that had any other group dominated, like whatever beauty standard they had, it would have been like the beauty standard, right? Like, for example, let's say, I don't know, we got a timeline where China dominated the world, right? And colonized the world, you know, imperialized the world like the Europeans did, right? But because China didn't do that, because it didn't need to do it, because China had all the resources that it needed, blah blah blah, right? I believe that all the weird Chinese beauty standards thing that I told you about would have been exported across the globe, and we would be adhering to weird Chinese beauty standards. Now, some of you are gonna say, "Oh, that's not true. That's not true." Guys, it's really not hard to gaslight people. It's not. It's not hard to gaslight people. I've taught on my channel how most of y'all are, quite frankly speaking, neurotypical, normie, casual people. And take that whatever way you want, but that's true. That's true. I could talk on this forever and ever and ever. I can. I've pointed this out so many times where whenever I pause a video and I talk about something, people are skipping. Why? Because they just want to watch a video. Why are you watching a reaction video if you're going to skip when I'm talking? So many people do that. No, I don't care. I'm just pointing it out. Now, why do I say this? It's because, again, neurotypical normie people, you know, they're just surface level, right? So how does this correlate with what I just said? Because all they care about is just being entertained. I said that before. They don't want to hear me, you know, sit down. So I guarantee you, like, a good half of the people here already skipped. Only the real, like, people that have been watching me for a while are still probably listening to me right now. That's true. So when you have people who just are surface level as hell, can't really think for themselves, just go with whatever the hell is going on, go with the flow type of ordeal, it's not hard to gaslight them. It's not. Because all they care about is fitting in. What do people think about me? Oh, well, I care about what others think. So they're just going to go with the flow. It's crazy. Do you know how, but like I said before, though, there is still an objective, like, attractiveness where no matter what, you will still have people, like, no matter the beauty standards, no matter how much people have been gaslit, you will still be attracting people regardless. Now, I don't want to use myself as an example of this because I am like light skin when I'm not tan as hell, and my like real light skin tone comes out, that's like Eurocentric. Eurocentric features are more light. The lighter, the quote unquote better. That's like Eurocentric features though. I don't really want to use myself as an example, but I will. Because there are some days where I look tan as hell and I look dark skinned when I'm not. But I'm still able to attract people despite the whole Eurocentric beauty standards that are dominating the world right now, right? Objectively speaking. I know like I have objectively attractive traits, i.e. good eye area. I don't if you really pay attention to me, you notice like I don't have like eyelid exposure. I was just born with that, which is that's just good genes right there. Good jawline, clear skin, you know, a bunch of other stuff. That is objectively like attractive traits. So, you know, you could still defeat. And I'm 6'3" as well. So add all of that, and you know, I'm still able to, you know, work my way. But that's not always the case, because I've had women like look at me and tell me, "Oh, you're hot, but you're black." I don't like black guys. And it's like, okay, well, it is what it is. But still, though, I'm saying that because you could still work around that if you have like objectively attractive traits in you. You can, but it'll be much more difficult, right, than say some random white guy who literally just prep his hair up and is mid looking, right? Like, you know, I have white friends who are also like attractive too, like no homo or anything. And I look at them and I'm like, well, yeah, you'll be able to get more if me and you had to go out in public right now or make a competition, how many girls we could get or anything like that. Like, you'd be able to get more girls than me because you're white. Why? Because that's the beauty standard. And they were like, honestly, yeah, you're probably right. You know, it is what it is. So, you know, just pointing that out. All right, let's continue.
The authority to place the crown on the heads of Parthian kings, indicating their royal importance. Cyrenius quickly raised a formidable army and marched with it into southern Mesopotamia, where the rebel Mithridates was fortified. The Parthian commander assaulted Seleucia, capturing it in short order, before capturing Mithridates and sending him to Orodes. He was executed not long after, while the key Mesopotamian cities of Babylon and Ctesiphon also fell to Cyrenius. So, while Rome was making gains in 54 BC, the Parthians were doing the same. Back in Syria, the Roman commander's relatively inexperienced army was also short of cavalry, as the contingent from Rome's client of Armenia had not arrived. The situation was alleviated somewhat when Crassus's son, Publius, arrived to reinforce his father with 1,000 Gallic horsemen. These troops had been loaned by Caesar, with whom Publius had been serving with distinction for years. 54 BC's campaigning ended with the Romans on the front foot, but with plenty of reason to be cautious. A Parthian ambassador was sent to speak with Crassus before the campaigns of 53, proclaiming that the king would generously allow him to retreat. This envoy laughed dismissively upon the Romans' insistence that he would give the Parthian envoy a reply in the Parthian capital of Seleucia. In response, the envoy held out the palm of his hand to Crassus, scornfully stating, "O Crassus, hair will grow here before you see Seleucia."
Top 10 statements said before disaster.
Crossing the Euphrates at Zeugma, Crassus decided against marching towards the Mesopotamian cities, and instead marched east in May. He knew that his scouts had spotted Parthian forces in the region and wanted to defeat them in the field. As Rome's legions approached the river Bellic, scouts blundered into Cyrenius' army and were brushed back, suffering many casualties. Nevertheless, they managed to inform Crassus, who decided it was time to fight. He ordered his troops to freshen up, eat a quick meal, and march. That afternoon, the two armies finally found one another on the plains near Carrhae. The Roman army lining up for battle at Carrhae comprised of 7 legions at its core, totaling roughly 34,000 legionaries. Accompanying this significant force were 4,000 native auxilia and 4,000 light cavalry, 1,000 of which were the Gauls brought from Caesar by Publius. Their Parthian enemy was a completely alien force from a totally different military tradition. Cyrenius brought no infantry at all to the battlefield, constructing his army as a direct counter to Roman strengths in close quarters. To this end, 9,000 horse archers armed with short compound bows made up the majority of his army, while 1,000 heavily armoured cataphracts equipped with heavy lances formed the flower of Parthia's nobility and freemen. As the Romans caught sight of their adversary, they would have seen a numerically weak force, barely armoured at all. This was yet another ingenious ploy by Cyrenius, who had cleverly concealed his numbers by hiding the depth of his army behind the width of an advance guard. In addition, he had ordered
I've never seen anybody employ that tactic before. Ooh.
the army's cataphracts to wear robes above their armour, so that any observer would see them as just regular cavalrymen rather than the truly lethal heavy knights that they were.
This guy is smart. This guy is smart.
Encouraged into battle by his son, Crassus marched to meet Cyrenius' army in battle, thoroughly unaware of the danger he truly faced from the utterly prepared Parthian army.
Oh dear, this is going to be a
Crassus arrayed his
disaster.
troops in a long extended line with cavalry on each wing to prevent encirclement. However, he changed his mind at the last minute and reformed his forces into a square formation before advancing, probably in an attempt to give the Roman army strength on all sides. Now, to the terrifying battle roar of Parthian drums and bronze bells, Cyrenius led a full-scale cavalry charge against the Roman square, with cataphracts in front and horse archers behind. As they did so, the Parthian general
is this music?
cataphracts to cast away their concealing robes, simultaneously revealing their true nature in an attempt to damage the morale of the enemy. Unaffected, and with their typical iron discipline, the Romans locked their shields and braced for the charge. However, just before the impact, Cyrenius' cavalry peeled around the sides of Crassus' square, quickly encircling it with a swarm of highly mobile horse archers while the cataphracts pulled back and regrouped.
Honestly, I think the Romans are in a good spot. Yes, the horse archers are very frightening, but if they can maintain that square formation discipline, that is quite OP. That's really OP.
A short-lived attempt by the Roman light troops to break the flanking maneuver was immediately met with a storm of arrows, forcing them back into the square.
Yeah. Oh, what the hell were they thinking? Oh wait, they're light troops. Oh, they don't have this. Oh yeah. That's not. Oh. Okay, yeah, that's nasty.
The mounted archers began unleashing a barrage of arrows upon the Roman square from all sides. Used to dealing with arrow fire, the legions employed their famous testudo, confident that their heavy armor and shields could weather the
Yeah, the ones in front are heavy, but the ones in the middle are light.
However, it quickly became clear that the unfamiliar barbed arrows used by the Parthians, as well as their powerful compound bows, were shockingly capable of penetrating Roman protection.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I was like, these are nomadic people, bro. These are nomadic. I remember I watched what the heck was that reaction where it was a reaction to nomadic people. One of my recent reactions is where they explain why they were so deadly. I wanted to say something, but I was like, should I wait and see if kings in general say anything about the fact that they're probably going to be able to pierce them? Yeah, this is not a good situation to be in.
As archers loosed volley after volley into the enemy square, the Romans began to suffer losses. Even as this went on, Crassus must have felt hopeful despite the rain of missiles. Once the horse archers emptied their quivers, he must have thought the enemy horsemen would have to attack him close up or withdraw. The triumvirate was in for a nasty surprise.
Alright, what now?
Severus now revealed the most cunning part of his plan.
What?
A mobile rearming train of 1,000 camels,
Bro!
vast stores of arrows was
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I didn't even question those camels. I saw those camels there, and I just thought, oh, they're probably just supply like food and water, because you know this is like desert and whatnot. Camels are usually good at carrying. Holy, yeah, no. Oh my, yeah, that's
sent out behind the Parthian cavalry.
Oh, that's
so long as the mounted archers resupplied.
Honestly, bro. Yeah, nah, that's GG.
And so long as the camels were evenly spaced, the barrage would continue indefinitely.
Yeah.
If Crassus, having realized what was happening, did not make a move now, the Romans would be killed where they stood. With a mixed force of 4,000
I don't even know how this is going to end.
Publius was ordered to lead a breakout. His contingent charged out of the square, causing the Parthian horsemen in front of it to retreat almost immediately. Not wanting to lose the momentum his surprise attack had gained, Publius pushed further, right into Cyrenus' counter-trap. As his retreating foe withdrew, they shifted in the direction of their regrouped reserve cataphracts, which now charged with their lances. The mounted archers now turned on their pursuers. The impact was devastating. As Cyrenus' elite heavy cavalry engaged the lightly equipped Roman horsemen.
Oh no!
Horse archers fired into their flank and into the massive...
Bro. I think this is one of the... This is probably like top 10 most brutal battles that I have reacted to thus so far.
It was all too much for the outgunned Romans, and they fled defeated to a nearby hill and locked their shields, ready to make a gallant last stand. Publius, determined not to desert his command, ordered one of his soldiers to kill him. All resistance on the hill now collapsed, and a final thunderous charge by the Parthian cataphracts at last destroyed this isolated unit.
Damn, bro.
Back at the main force,
brutal, man. Oh my gosh.
He could either retreat and leave his son to certain death, or advance, risk his whole army, and hope to save him.
How the hell? What do you do in this situation? How are the Romans gonna do? I don't think the Romans can do anything. I want to see how this is gonna end. I don't think the Romans can do anything. I don't, bro. Let's see how this ends.
They had not gotten far when a cloud of dust and the beating of war drums drew Roman attention, followed by the head of Publius mounted on a lance. At this horrifying sight, Roman morale finally broke. Cyrenus employed his favourite tactic again. The cataphracts charged, the Romans tightened their formation, and then the horse archers encircled, showering the square with arrows once again, slowly bleeding the army to death until dusk ended the assault. At nightfall, the Parthians withdrew and camped nearby, leaving a devastated army behind it. Only 20,000 of the original 42,000 Roman troops remained to fight, but many were
half of them were
injured. Crassus was immobilized with grief and loss, so the two surviving senior officers, Cassius and Octavius, led the survivors in retreat to the town of Carrhae. The men who were too wounded to walk were ruthlessly left behind. During the march, panic would periodically take hold, and the Romans would form up for battle before settling down again. Eventually they reached Carrhae and were brought inside the city, still counting around 15,000 men. When dawn broke, the Parthians slaughtered the 4,000 injured men who had been left behind and continued on to find Crassus. Cyrenius would not let him escape, but he did not know where he was. Eventually figuring out he was in Carrhae, Cyrenius went there but realized Crassus had fled into the hills. He was subsequently found and ignominiously killed by Parthian soldiers after being tricked into faux peace negotiations. The death of the Triumvir and the destruction of his army destabilized the political situation in Rome, leading to an eventual fracture between Pompey and Caesar. The only section of Crassus'
Oh, so this was the prelude to the Roman civil war between Caesar and Pompey that I'm reacting to right now. Oh.
His army to return safely to Syria was that led by one Gaius Cassius Longinus, the man who would eventually conspire against Caesar in 44 BC. Cyrenius had inflicted the worst defeat on the Romans in 150 years. As an appropriate reward for this great service, Orodes II had him put to death for treason.
No way! What? What the hell? What's like, bro? This is literally Game of Thrones. No way! This is canon timeline, bro. This is freaking canon timeline. Why was he put to death for treason? Oh, that okay.
Partha had gained victory in the first war between them and Rome. Conflicts between the two states would last for centuries to come.
Technically, 1,000 years, a millennia. Rome and Persia literally fought each other for a millennia. Isn't that wild? Well, it's a millennia. Wait, when was the last time the very last time Roman Persia fought? Well, I want to. Rome collapsed in 1453. Bro, I find it mad to me how Persia still lives on, but Rome is dead.
Videos on Roman and Iranian history.
Persia still lives on, but Rome is dead.
To our channel and have pressed the bell button. We would like.
Holy! The more I think about that, the more that's actually wild. Iran is still with us, but Rome is long gone, lost to time. Anyways, if you made it all the way here, make sure to like and subscribe. If you have any suggestions for me, go comment down below. If there's anything else you want to check on my channel, be sure to check it out. I have plenty of reactions on my channel that you would probably like, especially if you like what I got to say in my videos. Anyways, thank you for watching and goodbye.